John Bolton of the US says the weakness of the West will allow Putin to win, Erdogan will rig the elections, and Turkey will leave NATO. Prolonging the conflict in Ukraine would help increase discontent in the West, Bolton says. In a delusional article in the Daily Telegraph, former US National Security Advisor John Bolton said that Western weakness will allow Putin to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. He also criticized Turkey for its stance, saying that Erdogan may win the presidential election on June 18, 2023, with fraud, and called for Turkey's position in NATO to be questioned, commonly to decide Turkey's exit from NATO. The former U.S. National Security Advisor has expressed the opinion that Turkey's NATO membership could be in doubt in 2023 against the background of Turkish authorities' reluctance to take a tough anti-Russian stance in the war in Ukraine. In his opinion, in the coming months, the unity and determination of the West will really be tested in practice. He said Finland and Sweden have taken the surprising decision to join NATO, but Russia's trade and military partners have not yet abandoned it, unfortunately including Turkey, whose NATO membership will be challenged in 2023 if President of Turkey Erdogan, possibly through fraud, will be re-elected in the June 18, 2023 election, Bolton said. He also noted that Germany's declarations of its intention to increase defense spending have not yet materialized. He said Germany's regular defense budget in 2023 will be lower than 2022. Bolton said, adding that funds from a special fund from the Bundeswehr of 100 billion euros have not yet been used to modernize weapons and military equipment. Also, prolonging the conflict in Ukraine would contribute to increasing discontent in the West. Bolton's article, Western weakness could allow Putin to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. This is a decisive year for Ukraine, and if the West can show Russia, China, and Iran the strength of its resolve, President Volodymyr Zelinsky's 21st of December speech in Washington and both houses of Congress was a dramatic reminder of how critical Europe's biggest land war since 1945 is to the US, the UK, and the NATO alliance. Summing up 10 months of relentless fighting since Russia's February 24 invasion of Ukraine, thanking the West, Zelensky made it clear that more is needed. He closed by saying, "Have a great winning year." Let's hope Zelensky's wish comes true, because 2023 is likely to be a year of big decisions for Ukraine. If Washington and London fail to help defeat Ukraine in the next 12 months, the negative consequences will be felt far beyond today's battlefield. Dealing with China, Iran, North Korea, and others who will see anything less than a clear victory for Kiev as an indication of Western weakness, which they will not hesitate to exploit, will all be negative. While the nuclear ambitions of Iran and North Korea are menacing, and while countering China's existential threat will be the West's primary effort in this century, the urgency of Ukraine's fate cannot be ignored. This is no time to pamper ourselves. Despite significant advantages, including the fighting spirit of the Ukrainian population, substantial arms and intelligence assistance, notably from Britain and the US, and the abysmally poor performance of Russian forces on land, air, and sea, the war is now at a stalemate. Economic sanctions have hurt Russia's economy, but Ukraine's economy is in worse shape, with significant parts of its natural capital literally destroyed, Kiev that is. Finland and Sweden have taken the surprising decision to join NATO, but Russia's trade and military partners have not yet abandoned it in its hour of need, unfortunately including Turkey, whose NATO membership should be moot in 2023 if President Erdogan, probably due to fraud, is re-elected. The real issue is Western unity and determination. Neither is guaranteed. Start in Germany. The German Chancellor declared Zeitenwende, that's sea change, in Berlin's foreign policy shortly after the Russian invasion. He announced that Germany would, by 2023, meet more of NATO's 2014 commitment to increase defense spending to 2.5% of GDP, set up a €100 billion fund for arms procurement, and agreed to spend 30 billion of those euros to buy 35 nuclear-capable F-35s to replace the aging German Air Force. However, little has actually happened, and commitments are dubious. Germany's regular defense budget in 2023 will be smaller than in 2022. The 2% target has been pushed back to 2025, but is higher than what Merkel promised when she was Chancellor. None of the 100 billion euros has been used, and the F-35 purchase appears to have stalled due to bureaucratic infighting. Good thing there is no war in Europe. By comparison, Japan recently announced that it will more than double its defense budget over the next 5 years to meet NATO's 2% target, and in doing so will become the world's third largest military behind the US and China. Yes, Japan. Then there's France. Zelinsky and Macron clashed over what we should give Russia for a diplomatic solution. As recently as December 4th, 2022, Macron said one of the essential points we have to face, as President Putin has always said, is the fear that NATO is coming straight to his doors, which has long been talking point in Kremlin. There is, of course, no evidence that Ukraine has ever posed a threat to Russia's security or that NATO is anything but a defense alliance. Worse, however, Macron also said, we have to prepare how to give guarantees to Russia the day it returns to the negotiating table. The aggressor deserves no security guarantee simply because he appears to discuss reversing his aggression rather than actually doing something concrete, such as withdrawing Russian forces from Ukraine. The United States also has problems, since the US media enjoys criticizing internal political divisions among Republicans. They focus more on the demand by some to control aid in Ukraine, ignoring the much more serious threat from left-wing progressives. Some Republicans, reflecting their disdain, were indeed absent from Zelensky's speech. Democrats, however, have been more critical of Ukraine, most recently in an October 24, 2022 letter to President Biden. 30 House Democrats urged him to combine the military and economic support provided by US to Ukraine with a preemptive diplomatic push. Their proposal was music to Moscow's ears, although the resulting firestorm led to the immediate withdrawal of the letter. The co-signers, however, apologized only because they made a mistake in timing the release of the letter due to the midterm election approaching. They made no criticism of the substance of the letter, and with the new Congress expect to hear more from progressives. Fortunately, neither Russia nor Ukraine show any desire to negotiate. Worrying news from Belarus also continues. Since the invasion, Putin has been working closely with Alexander Lukashenko. They meet twice during the week, at the end of 2022 Minsk and then in St. Petersburg. In the public statements, due to the meetings, they did not mention Ukraine, but there was no doubt that it was a main topic of discussion. Belarus recently criticized a stray Ukrainian missile that struck its territory, a classic pretext for later military action. Russia's abysmal military performance may continue in 2023. Putin's political position may be weaker, and economic constraints may increase, but every day that passes without withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukraine risks increasing pressure on the West. US and UK leaders still need a strategy to wish the Ukrainian people a happy, victorious New Year, Bolton concludes in his article. This is by Banking News Greece. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.